Jesus, only you. Who is like you? None beside you. My God, you're worthy. I will sing of it all my days. King forever, my defender. My God, you're worthy. I will sing of it all my days. Who will go before me in the night? Only Jesus, only you. Hey, who will bring the victory in the fight? Only Jesus, only you. Who is like you? None beside you. My God, you're worthy. I will sing of it all my days. King forever, my defender. My God, you're worthy. I will sing of it all my days. I will sing of you, Jesus. I will sing of you, Jesus. Just give me Jesus. It's all I want. It's all I want. Just give me Jesus. Just give me Jesus. It's all I want. It's all I want. Just give me Jesus. Oh, just give me Jesus. It's all I want. It's all I want. Just give me Jesus. Who is like you? None beside you. My God, you're worthy. I will sing of it all my days. King forever, my defender. You're worthy. I will sing of it all. Just give me Jesus. It's all I want. It's all I want. Just give me Jesus. It's all I want. It's all I want. Just give me Jesus. It's all I want. It's all I want. Just give me Jesus. Who will keep the promises he spoke? Only Jesus, only you. Who is coming back to bring me home? Only Jesus, only you. Songs cannot discover, teachings won't convey. Our hearts, they cannot fathom all you have for us. Your promises won't falter, your word will never fade. We're singing as we wait for all you have for us. Grace like waters running deeper, sent from
Hello, community. It is great to be with you during such an exciting season of spiritual momentum in our church. Because it was only 18 months ago that we came to you to share that while we were seeing God do a lot of great work at Community, our generosity was not keeping up with all the opportunities we saw before us.
Since that time, though, you have responded generously, our staff adjusted their budgets, and you can feel the momentum Dave is talking about. I am so encouraged to tell you that right now, with about 1 month left in our fiscal year, our giving is at 98% of what we projected we would need this year. And so I'm reminded of Paul's words to the church in Corinth. But since you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in complete earnestness, and in the love we have kindled in you, see that you also excel in this grace of giving.
God's at work through us in some amazing ways. And one of those ways is how He's growing us in the grace of giving. 5 of our 7 locations have seen significant increases in their giving year over year. Giving at our Yorkville location is up 22%. Giving at our Lincoln Park location is up 27%. Giving at our Royal location is up 39% this year compared to last year. And I'll tell you what, let's just thank God right now for those encouraging signs.
And that's not all. Community's overall in-person attendance is up at 6 of our 7 locations year to date, and 18% overall. For that, we are extremely grateful to God. And let's remember, every dollar we give and every person who celebrates with us represents an opportunity to help even more people find their way back to God.
And just last month, we had over 500 students and leaders participate in our Student Community Summer Camp. And 400 had U+ conversations while they were at camp. And in those conversations, like many of you, they were asked to set goals of their own spiritual growth. I mean, how awesome is that?
And one of the most encouraging outcomes of our Stuco summer camp was this. 47 students chose to follow Jesus and were baptized. 15 students and leaders rededicated their lives to Christ. Let's thank God for that too, all right?
Yes. And thanks to the generosity of Community, dozens of students who couldn't afford to go to camp were able to go thanks to more than $15,000 that was given in scholarships this year.
And not only has God at work through us locally, He is also at work through our global church planting mission, New Thing. In just the first half of 2023, New Thing trained over 7,000 churches and over 24,000 leaders. As a result of that training, over 4,000 new churches have been started. And when you look at the overall budget of New Thing, a new church gets started for every $3,000 spent. That is some great return on investment right there.
So yes, we have much to celebrate. And yes, there is so much momentum. But we also have a lot to anticipate. And I want to take a few minutes to give you a kind of a heads up about what we see in the coming months at Community. Our fiscal year begins on October 1, and we created what we would call a budget that lands somewhere between realistic and faith-filled. To use the words of Paul, I think it will challenge us to excel in the grace of giving. And I believe we will. Our 2024 budget is set at $535,000 more than last year. Now that's an increase of 9%. But remember, we've grown this last year by 18%, so this is doable. But it means that we need to see an increase of about $10,000 a week. We can do this, Community.
In addition to the opportunity to grow in our regular giving, we also have Celebration Generosity on October 8th. We will share more about that in a few minutes. We have Giving Tuesday on the last Tuesday in November, and of course our Christmas and end-of-year giving as we close out 2023. Now, I know that can sound like a lot, and in some ways it is. That's one reason we have these talks, to help us look ahead and see what's coming up at Community.
Now I want to wrap up by telling you a little bit more about Celebration Generosity. This year for Celebration Generosity, we're asking everyone to give one gift one time. All right, let me say that again. For Celebration Generosity, we're asking everyone to give one gift one time. And we're placing a strong emphasis on everyone giving something. We're praying for 100% participation. We want everyone to give.
Secondly, this year we will be asking for only one gift that will support all the amazing work being done in the Philippines through Frontline, in Chicago and all over the world through New Thing, and right here at home through Community Cares. So this year, rather than designating your one gift to one or two, we are asking everyone to give one gift that will impact all 3 missions.
And finally, this year, we're asking people to give one time above and beyond. Now, in the past, there was some confusion about people's regular giving, where that would go on the week of Celebration Generosity. Rather than trying to decipher that, we decided to challenge everyone to give one gift, one time, and that is above and beyond your regular giving. We've set a faith-stretching goal for Celebration Generosity of $400,000, which is almost double what we received last year. And I would love it if you would join me in prayerfully asking God to help every one of us to excel in the grace of giving to reach that goal.
For a while now, we have been saying that a disciple is someone who hears from God and does what he says. And so as we look to this fiscal year ahead and Celebration Generosity on October 8th, would you join me in praying this simple prayer? Lord, what would you have me give?
And thanks, community, for being the church.
Community, God is moving here in significant ways. Thanks, Dave and John, for that update. Hello and welcome to Community Online. If you are new here, a special welcome to you. By joining us today, you've already taken your first step, and we'd love to help you take your next steps. Just create your account at communityonline.tv so we can learn your name and reach out to you this week. If you've already created your account, go ahead and log in so we know who's celebrating with us today. And feel free to say hello in the chat or request prayer. We'd love to connect with you. Here at Community, we are committed to helping people find their way back to God. We believe that the life you are longing for can be found in a growing connection with God, the church, and the world God's given us to love and serve. It's what we've been calling the U+ life, and we want to help one another experience it. A big part of that U+ life is about getting connected in a small group. Small groups are a great place for you to experience friendships in the church that can help encourage and challenge you to take next steps in your faith journey. And now is the perfect time to join a group because our fall small group signups are open through September 17th. Go to joinasmallgroup.org or scan the QR code on the screen for more information on all the groups offered and sign up today. We want you to flourish as a follower of Jesus, so don't try to go in alone. Get connected in a group. In a few moments, Community Pastor Ted Coniaris will bring the next message in our series, Next Level. But first, let's take a moment to give back to God. Every week, we take a few moments during our service to give back to God, and on occasion, someone will ask, why do we call this time giving back to God? The idea of giving back comes from a theological premise that everything we have belongs to God, and that part of what God asks of us is to manage or steward what he gives us. James, the brother of Jesus, writes, "Every good and perfect gift is from above." And so when we give, even what we give, our money, is a good gift from God. So as you give, remember that the gift you offer back to God is a gift that the Father so generously gave you. You are giving back to God as a loving response to his generosity. You can give and set up your recurring gift by going to givenow.cc, downloading the app, or using the QR code on the screen, or simply text GIVE to 331-226-1686. And now, here's Ted with today's message.
This morning, we're going to be exploring the importance of authenticity. But before I do, I think we need to get real for a moment. Have you ever had a friend, or maybe even worse, a family member, offer TMI? Now, some of you know exactly what I'm talking about, but for those of you who don't, TMI stands for too much information. TMI comes in all shapes and sizes. Sometimes TMI happens because we've been friends for too long. Sometimes TMI is because we feel safe to be vulnerable, but just happen to, by mistake, share a little bit more than what is helpful. But sometimes TMI is just weird. For instance, I had the recent displeasure of opening my news feed on my phone only to discover this very uncomfortable news story from People magazine that I am now going to share with you. You're welcome. That's right. Arguably one of the biggest pop singers in the world felt the need, nay, I say compelled, to share with the rest of the world that the amount of sweat she experiences in her Spanx means that she suffered from a medical condition known as jock itch. Now, if that isn't TMI, I don't know what is. Now, how in the world could I possibly transition from that? Well, I really have no idea, but let's try this. As I've been trying to forget about this news story, I can't help but think about why someone would be driven to share that kind of information with the whole world. And I think at least part of what's going on here is an expression of our innate desire for authenticity. Did that work? Well, either way, let's keep going. The desire for meaningful and deep and authentic connection is, I think, a universal longing that we all have. In fact, it's not just a longing, it's one of the ways God designed us to be like Him. Scripture tells us that God exists in a trinity of Father, of Son, and of Holy Spirit. He is God, three in one. And it's a fundamental relational mystery that's at the core of God's identity. It makes sense then that we who are made in the image of God and who bear the image of this three-in-one God have an innate need for deep, meaningful relationship. We're wired up for it, and we feel a void when that relational connection is missing. We're not meant to be alone. The Apostle Paul describes it this way. From him, the whole body is joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work. We, the whole body of believers, are meant to be joined together so that we can grow together. And during this series, we're talking about cultivating these critical, meaningful relationships, something we're calling next level friendships. Now, just in case anyone here is thinking that we're finally going to get some pastoral advice about how to get out of the friend zone with that special someone, I'm sorry to disappoint. That is not the next level that we're talking about. No. Today, we're unpacking how to actually deepen friendships below the surface to places of trust, of vulnerability, and of growth. These friendships are meant to help us grow in our relationship with God and each other. Now, it's important to note that while we all have a natural longing for these next level friendships, they don't just happen automatically. They require intentionality. Like we just read, Paul reminds us that in order for us to have these kinds of connections, each part must do its work. So, during the series, we're challenging one another to live out the intentional practices that grow these kinds of next level friendships. Last week, we learned that next level friendships start with availability. We have to actually make space in our lives for these friendships if we want to truly deepen them. I've personally experienced this kind of growth and friendship in a small group, and I can't encourage you enough to take the step of finding and plugging into a small group. But just being present and accounted for isn't all that's really needed to actually deepen next level friendships. We need to move on from availability to the next practice, which is authenticity. You see, each week in this series, we're looking at a next level friendship in the Bible as an example for us to follow. And one story of friendship in Scripture that powerfully demonstrates the power of authenticity is the friendship between Jonathan and David. There's a lot of speculation about what drew Jonathan and David to each other. And looking at their story from the outside, it seems like a pretty unlikely friendship. The son of a king and a shepherd boy who is set to take his place as heir to the throne. However, there's a lesser-known story about Jonathan that I think really illustrates why these two men had quite a unique connection. In 1 Samuel 14, before David is even mentioned in the Bible, we find the Israelites in a pretty bad spot. Their king, Saul, Jonathan's dad, hasn't brought the deliverance that they hoped he would. They've suffered devastating losses in battle, and their army is a fraction of what it once was. The Israelites are terrified, and they're actually hiding as their enemy advances. One day, King Saul's son, Jonathan, decides he can't sit by any longer. So he says to his armor bearer, "Let's cross over to the camp of those heathen Philistines. Maybe the Lord will help us. If he does, nothing can keep him from giving us the victory, no matter how few of us there are. So just to clarify here, this is Jonathan's plan. He and his armor bearer will walk right up to the Philistine garrison, and the very garrison that his father and his 600-man army didn't dare challenge. And if the Philistines call out for him and the armor bearer to come on up, that would be a sign from God that victory was theirs, and they would defeat the Philistines on that day. It isn't exactly a strategy from the pages of The Art of War, is it? However, when Jonathan and his guy arrive, they get the sign. The Philistines call out, "Come on up, we have something to tell you." And as Jonathan and his armor bearer attack, there's an earthquake, which makes the Philistines believe there's a huge army attacking them. And in the confusion, they actually begin to fight one another. And the Israelites win the battle that day. And the Philistines, well, they're driven back to their own country. It's really no wonder then that over 15 years later, when Jonathan sees David march out to fight the giant Goliath, armed only with a small slingshot and big trust in God, he feels a connection. In 1 Samuel 18, we read, Jonathan was deeply impressed with David, and an immediate bond was forged between them. He became totally committed to David. From that point on, he would be David's number one advocate and friend. It's quite remarkable that Jonathan became David's number one cheerleader. After all, as the current prince of Israel, Jonathan could have resented the fact that God picked David to be the next king. But he didn't. And because of Jonathan's selflessness, a beautiful friendship was forged. Through the following years, we see the authenticity in their friendship deepen as David openly shares his fears and his struggles with his friend, Jonathan. Meanwhile, King Saul became so intensely jealous of David's victories in battle and his popularity among the people that he actually attempts to kill David on multiple occasions. I mean, think about this. Honestly, how many friendships could thrive or even survive when one friend's dad is trying to kill the other friend? I think it might put quite a damper on things, don't you think? But rather than putting up an emotional wall, David chooses to trust and to be vulnerable with his friend. And the beauty of this story is that David's authenticity gives Jonathan the opportunity to meet his friend's need. In one encounter, we read, David saw that Saul had come out to seek his life. David was in the wilderness of Ziph at Horish, and Jonathan, Saul's son, rose and went to David at Horish and strengthened his hand in God. Jonathan doesn't just pat David on the back and say, "It'll be okay, buddy." The text says that he literally strengthened David's hand in God. Jonathan points David back to God's promise, and he says, "Don't forget. Don't you forget. God said you will be the king over Israel. My father's plan to kill you, it will not succeed." When we choose to be authentic, we can play that role in each other's lives too. Next level friends strengthen each other in the Lord. They stand with one another, even in the midst of discouraging situations. They remind one another of truth when circumstances are overwhelming and faith is faltering. Several years ago, I was walking through a really difficult season in my life. I was really hurt by someone I cared about. And I found myself starting to really feel down about it, and I was beginning to feel jaded and even bitter. But thankfully, I knew who my Jonathan was, and in this case, it was my Jonathans, plural, a group of other pastor friends of mine who we meet very regularly. They gave me the space to pour out the entire raw, uncut story to them. And they didn't just offer pleasantries or platitudes. They sat with me in my sadness, and they sat with me in my disappointment. And they reminded me how known and unconditionally loved I am by God. And they offered me practical wisdom from their own experience. I found truth I found help, and I found grace in these next level friendships. And I did take a risk and shared the stuff that wasn't so pretty in my life, that wasn't so pretty in my mind or in my processing. And because of it, I grew closer to my friends and actually I grew closer to God. But unfortunately, it doesn't always go that way, does it? Though we long for deep and meaningful connections with one another, we often hide. We hide behind barriers that keep us from relating authentically to one another. The barrier might be people-pleasing. Maybe we feel a constant, relentless need to please and be liked by others, and it keeps us from speaking up and voicing how we really feel. Perhaps we don't take relational risks because we're afraid of disappointing other people. People pleasers often commit to too much because they find it really hard to say no, which can leave them in a sort of constant state of feeling overwhelmed. Can you relate to that? Or maybe the barrier is comparison. Does anyone here struggle with comparing yourself to others? You say things to yourself like, she's smarter than me, or he's so much more creative than I am, or they can do it better than me. When we're constantly comparing ourselves to others, we often feel like we just don't measure up. And those feelings of insecurity, those feelings of inadequacy can keep us from being authentic with others because we live in fear that they'll see our shortfalls too. Or maybe it's the barrier of perfectionism. Perfectionists can't make peace with their vulnerabilities. They feel the constant need to strive for perfection, or at least the appearance of perfection. And when we can't accept our imperfections, the last thing that we're going to do is to let the world see our authentic, imperfect self. Or the barrier might be workaholism. Now, I know that one might surprise you. It might seem different than the others, but hear me out. I believe our addiction to work can keep us from living authentically. When we work all the time at our home or in our office, constantly keeping busy, not only can workaholism keep us from being available for relationships, it also can keep us from living authentically. A constant state of doing keeps us from honest self-reflection. And if we don't know ourselves, how can we possibly be our true selves with others? See, these are just some of the barriers to authenticity, and there are many more, and they are very real. However, at the core of all of them is fear. Fear of being vulnerable. Fear of being seen. We were designed for connection, real, authentic connection. Yet our fears, they often get in the way of what we long to experience. So how do we break through these barriers? Well, we have to make the courageous choice. The courageous choice to be authentic. We need to understand vulnerability. It isn't weakness, it's actually strength. Author Brené Brown puts it this way: authenticity is a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen. I love that. I just love that quote. Authenticity is the choice to let our true selves be seen. What this doesn't mean is that we just go around spilling our guts to anyone and everyone we meet, like telling a room full of people that you have jock itch, for example. See, the irony is that kind of indiscretion can actually lead to greater disconnection, not connection. There are some people who kind of spill their guts in every conversation, and they can't understand why they don't experience connection. No, you see, authenticity is about sharing our feelings and our experiences with people who have earned the right to hear them. It's the choice to show up in those friendships and to be real, to let our true selves be seen. An ideal environment for this type of authenticity is what we call a small group. Small groups are simply gatherings of 6 to 12-ish people. Some meet in churches, some meet in homes, in coffee shops, wherever. But all of them gather for the purpose of doing life together. They provide a context for building friendships, for growing spiritually and living out the mission of God together. We will always encourage every person to be connected in a small group. And today is the perfect day for that because we're in the middle of our fall small group signups. And you can learn more about all the small groups offered at Community by just visiting communitychristian.info or by scanning the QR code on the screen. Joining a small group is one of the best decisions that I've ever made. And it's not always easy, but it's absolutely worth it. Once we're connected in the context of a consistent community, let's challenge one another to make the courageous choice. Let's challenge one another to choose authenticity. And I think we can choose authenticity in 3 ways. First, let's challenge each other to choose authentic emotions. Authenticity begins by allowing ourselves to be honest about what we're actually feeling. There will inevitably be times our emotions are something other than what we desire them to be. But ignoring them or pretending that they're something different than they are, it doesn't help anyone. We need to learn to discern and identify what you are actually feeling when you're feeling it. Give yourself the grace to feel things like anger, like sadness, like sorrow and joy. Authenticity starts when you set the intention to be genuine. If we're going to be authentic with others, we have to start by being authentic with ourselves. Second, we need to choose authentic words. Show of hands. How many of us have answered, I'm fine when someone asked you how you were doing, right? Probably most of us. Now, how many of you have ever answered, I'm fine when you were, in fact, not fine, right? Of course you have. All of us have. Again, we're not proposing that you pour out all of your deepest, darkest secrets to everyone you interact with on the street, but we need to strive towards being authentic with our words when we're in the context of a safe friendship or community. We need to learn to articulate what's really going on at a deeper level, at a heart level. In Galatians 6, Paul instructs us to carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Yet think about this. How can we carry each other's burdens if we don't really know the truth of what is going on in each other's lives? I know this can be difficult to do, but we need to learn how to pay attention to those times when you are insincere in your speech. And then we need to reflect. We need to honestly explore the fears and the beliefs that might create those barriers to authenticity. One exercise you can try with your group is this. It's simply by filling in the blank. If you really knew me, you would know this blank. Not only does this question prompt introspection and allow people to reveal important aspects of themselves, it also builds trust. It also builds credibility. It also builds confidence with the person that you're sharing it with. Authenticity sometimes will feel scary, but it also builds intimacy. Lastly, I want to challenge all of us to choose authentic actions. Now, this will look different from person to person, but it's important that we choose authentic actions. Often, we're going to feel like out of sync when we're acting inauthentically. Things just don't feel right. It's important that we pay attention to those hunches, physical sensations, or even impressions. They can be the Holy Spirit actually speaking to you, telling you that you're not being genuine. And when you are on track and when you are authentic, I promise you're going to feel that too. Authenticity may require us to make unpopular decisions or to acknowledge aspects of ourselves that we'd rather hide away. But in the end, it truly allows us to live a more open and honest and engaged life. And ultimately, authenticity will help us grow the deep, meaningful relationships that we were created for. Next level friendships deepen with authenticity. As we do the work of being real with each other, we'll learn to stand with one another, even in the most discouraging of situations. We'll remind one another of truth when circumstances are overwhelming or our faith is faltering. We will strengthen one another's hand in the Lord. And ultimately, choosing to live as an authentic person, choosing to live an authentic life, isn't just about living a more fulfilled life. It's about walking in the fullness of who we were created to be. And that's the amazing thing about Jesus. You see, a strong relationship with Jesus is the key. It's the absolute key to true and healthy authenticity. When we find our identity first and foremost in Him and in who He says we are, we're freed from the rat race of trying to pretend that we're smarter or funnier or holier or more successful than we really are. In fact, it shifts all of those metrics completely on their head. At the center of the Jesus story is a picture of a God who loves us exactly as we are, not as who we pretend to be. And when we learn to live in relation to Him, the only way possible, which is as our authentic self, because He doesn't know our fake self, then we can be more fully who God created us to be in relation to everyone else. Behind all the layers and veneers, God sees us fully and calls us His beloved. That is our true self. So be authentically Him. Be authentically her. And together, we will become who God created us to be.
One of the things that I love the most about our church is that every Sunday we celebrate what's called communion together. It's an opportunity to realign our hearts and remember who all of this is ultimately about, Jesus. And in Jesus, we are free to be fully ourselves because He loves us just as we are. That's the invitation at the table. That whoever you are, wherever you come from, you are invited here. You are welcome here. So as we prepare to receive communion together, know that you are seen by the God who loved you so much that He was willing to die for you. Let's prepare our hearts to receive communion.
I've been washed by the blood of the one who is holy. I've been marked by His love. He's a consuming fire. I will go where He leads, for His name remains worthy. Jesus, Jesus. There's no other name that could take your place. You were. There's no in or out. All are welcome now to the goodness of your glory. I've been changed by your truth. All your words, they are for me. From now on, there's no striving, for you've made a way. Oh, I will walk in the light of your fullness within me. Jesus. Oh, Jesus. There's no other name that could take your place. You were. There's no in or out. All are welcome now to the goodness of your glory. There's no other name that could take your place. You were. There's no in or out. All are welcome now to the goodness of your glory. I'm not broken, I'm no orphan. By the love of the Father I stand. Here I find my place again. You remind me who I am. I am cherished, I am chosen. By the love of the Father I stand. Here I find my place again. You remind me who I am. I'm not broken, I'm no orphan. By the love of the Father I stand. Here I find my place again. You remind me who I am. I am cherished, I am chosen. By the love of the Father I stand. Here I find my place again. You remind me who I am. There's no other name that could take. You are worthy, you are worthy. There's no in or out. All are welcome now to the goodness of your glory. There's no other name that could take your place. You are worthy, you are worthy. There's no in or out. All are welcome now to the goodness of your glory. I'm not broken, I'm no orphan. By the love of the Father I stand. Here I find my place again. You remind me who I am. I am cherished, I am chosen. By the love of the Father I stand. Here I find my place again. You remind me who I
In the presence of the God who is love, we come together to receive the bread, his body, broken for us, and the cup, his blood, shed for us. Would you pray with me? Dear Lord, thank you for giving us the opportunity to grow in relationship with other people, to grow in relationship with you. And we ask that you can allow us opportunities for us to be fully ourselves in the communities around us so that we can experience the richness in relationships, in friendships, so that we can experience the community that you have designed for us to experience here on earth. We love you so much, Lord. We ask you to bless our week, bless our time with the people around us. Amen. Thanks for joining us today. We are so glad you were here. Just a reminder that our fall small group signups are currently open, and now is the perfect time to get connected in a group. And as always, you can find information about everything happening here at Community at communitychristian.info, including messages you may have missed that you can watch on demand. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you right back here next week at Community Online.
Every voice sing. My God and King, my strength.